Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to hear me today, not just with your ears, but with your heart. I need you to feel this message in your bones because what we're talking about today isn't just about success, achievement, or accolades. No, it's deeper than that. This is about you. This is about your worth. This is about your self-respect. Because without self-respect, all the titles, all the applause, and all the material wealth in the world will never fill that void inside. I want you to know right now that self-respect is the foundation of a great life. Let me start with a story that will hit you right where it counts. I knew a young woman, we'll call her Maya. Maya grew up in a household where her voice was never heard. She was told to be quiet, to stay small, to follow the rules and not make waves. Society added its voice, whispering that women should be seen and not heard, that ambition wasn't for girls, and that self-sacrifice was noble while self-respect was selfish. Maya internalized those messages until one day she woke up in a life she didn't recognize, in a job she hated, and in a relationship where she was treated like an afterthought. But something snapped in Maya. It was a moment of clarity, that moment when pain becomes your greatest teacher. She stood in front of her mirror, looked herself in the eyes and said, "I deserve better. I am worthy. I will respect myself even if no one else does." That single decision changed the trajectory of her entire life. Maya walked away from that toxic relationship, went back to school and built a career where her voice was heard and her talents recognized. Today, she stands tall not because life became easy, but because she demanded respect from herself first. Now, listen to me. You cannot give what you do not have. If you don't respect yourself, you will never demand respect from others. You will settle for crumbs when you were meant to feast. You will stay in situations that diminish you because you've forgotten your worth. But when you build a foundation of self-respect, everything changes. Also, this rock. Let's talk about psychology for a second. There's something called the self-fulfilling prophecy. What you believe about yourself becomes your reality. If you believe you are worthy of respect, you will carry yourself differently. Your posture changes, your voice gets stronger, and people start to treat you differently because you're no longer asking for permission to exist, you're owning your space. Do you think Oprah Winfrey became a media mogul by doubting her worth? Oprah grew up in poverty, faced abuse, and was told by countless people that she wouldn't amount to anything. But she respected herself enough to fight for her dreams. She didn't wait for the world to hand her respect on a silver platter. She claimed it. Let's talk about Serena Williams for a second. Serena has faced racism, sexism, and relentless criticism throughout her career, but she didn't let that define her. She respected her talent, her body, and her work ethic. She didn't shrink herself to fit into a mold that society created. She broke the mold. And then there's Malala Yousafzai, a young woman who was shot in the face for daring to demand an education. She could have let that bullet silence her, but she respected herself and every other girl enough to stand up and say, "You will not stop me." That's self-respect in action. I need you to understand that self-respect isn't just about standing up to other people. It's about standing up to yourself. It's about the voice inside your head that tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not strong enough. That voice is a liar. And every time you choose to respect yourself, you silence that voice a little more. Now, I know some of you are thinking, "But Eric, you don't understand my situation. You don't know what I've been through." And you're right. I don't. But I do know this. Pain is universal, and so is resilience. I know women who have lost everything, their homes, their families, their health, and still found a way to rise because they chose to respect themselves enough to fight for their lives. One of those women was my own mother. She raised me and my siblings on a shoestring budget, working long hours at multiple jobs. She faced discrimination and hardship, but she never let it break her spirit. She walked with her head held high because she respected herself. She taught me that self-respect isn't about your circumstances, it's about your mindset. And that brings me to persistence. Self-respect fuels persistence because when you respect yourself, quitting is not an option. When you respect yourself, you understand that failure is a lesson, not a verdict. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. He respected his vision enough to keep going. Let me tell you about a woman named Sara Blakely, the founder of Spanx. Sara was turned down by every major manufacturer when she was trying to launch her business. But she respected her idea and herself enough to keep knocking on doors until one finally opened. Today, she's a billionaire. And here's the thing, most people quit too soon because they don't respect their dreams enough to fight for them. But when you have self-respect, you don't quit, you adapt, you learn, you grow, and you keep pushing forward. Now, let's talk about resilience. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. It's about using your challenges as a springboard to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. And resilience starts with self-respect, because when you respect yourself, you refuse to let life break you. Look at history. Harriet Tubman respected herself and her people enough to risk her life leading slaves to freedom. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't ask for approval. She acted because she knew her worth. In business, we have examples like Indra Nooyi, who rose to become the CEO of PepsiCo despite facing countless obstacles as a woman of colour in a male-dominated industry. She respected herself enough to demand a seat at the table and then built her own table. In sports, we see women like Simone Biles, who respected her mental health enough to prioritise it during the Olympics. That decision took courage and self-respect because she knew that her worth wasn't defined by medals. So I need you to ask yourself right now, where am I not respecting myself? Is it in your relationships, your career, your health, your dreams? Be honest with yourself, because self-respect starts with self-awareness. And let me tell you this, self-respect is a daily choice. It's not something you achieve once and then forget about. It's in the way you talk to yourself, the way you set boundaries, the way you show up for your life. It's in the way you say no to things that don't serve you and yes to the things that light your soul on fire. I need you to remember Maya, the woman who looked in the mirror and said, "I deserve better." I need you to remember Oprah, Serena, Malala, my mother, Sarah, Harriet, Indra, and Simone. These women didn't have it easy, but they had self-respect, and that made all the difference. And I need you to remember this. You are worthy. You are enough. You are deserving of respect, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And when you respect yourself, you become unstoppable. So today, I challenge you to stand tall, to own your worth, and to build your life on the unshakable foundation of self-respect. Because when you do that, there is nothing you can't achieve. Let's go out there and make it happen. Let's build lives we're proud of. And let's never, ever forget that self-respect is where it all begins.